Good afternoon. It's afternoon now. Hope everybody is well. I'm Matt Pizarris, the Senior Vice President of Business Development and Strategy for the Milwaukee Bucks. Like Tessa said, it's my second time here. I'd like to thank the AMA as well as the school. They do a fantastic job. It's always well organized and the students are great. So what I plan on doing today is I'm going to give you a little overview of the Bucks and our business, some things you might not know. And then I'm going to talk about how what we're doing physically in downtown Milwaukee is going to transform the city, but really create experiences, because that's what we're here to talk about. And then I like to leave a good amount of time for questions, because we tend to not have enough. So I'm going to do that. So a little bit about myself and how we all got here. So this is Jamie Dinan, Mark Lasry, and Wes Edens. 3 years ago, a little over, they purchased the Bucks from Senator Cole, and the wheels started going in motion. A guy named Peter Fagan is the president of the Bucks. Him, myself, and Pat McDonough, our CFO, used to work together at Madison Square Garden for the New York Knicks years ago. And when this opportunity came to not only resurrect the team, but build this development in Milwaukee and change the landscape of the city, not only commercially, but socially, it was an opportunity that we jumped at and came out here 3 years ago. And our goal, as the slide said, is to build the most respected sports and entertainment company in the world. One thing that's notable about the NBA, when I said I'll get into some things you may not know, is we're truly a global business. And the business model of the NBA depends on that. It's how a team in Milwaukee can compete with teams like the Lakers and the Knicks. And I'm going to show you a bit about what that looks like. So when we talk about a global business, 113 players on rosters from 41 different countries. More than half of our social media followers are from outside of the United States, and we are broadcast in over 200 countries around the world, and you'll see how that fits into our business model shortly. Here's a few stats about the NBA from last season, but the one I like to go to is right there. The NBA is the most popular brand on social media in China, not the most popular sports brand, the most popular brand, period. And as you know, probably about 20 to 25% of everybody on the planet lives in China. So when you're the most popular brand in China, that's how the NBA can survive, or thrive, I should say. And it all started with the Dream Team years ago, and guys like Yao Ming, and now we are truly a global sport, and that fuels our game. When you talk about the United States, football is the king of TV. It's the biggest TV property. I'm a fan. I'm sure many of you are as well. When we leave this country, it's the NBA and it's soccer. The contract in China just to show digital highlights, not to stream games, but just to show digital highlights in China, the value of that contract for the league and thus its partners, the teams, is worth more than the domestic TV contract of the NHL. So think about that. The right to just show highlights on digital in China is more than the domestic TV contract of the NHL. The other way that we survive and thrive as a league is our business is truly a partnership, the teams and the players. How does that work? We share revenue about 50-50. So when you hear things like lockouts and collective bargaining agreements, that's all negotiated on what's called basketball-related income. So every dollar that comes into the league, there's a formula, and that's shared between us and the players. And that's how things like the salary cap are determined, which we'll get to. And the main parts of basketball-related income are tickets, sponsorships, the TV contracts. That jumped up in a big way last year because we had a new global TV contract with Turner, ESPN, and that fed out to the other countries. Merchandise and digital, which is obviously a big area of growth for the league. Here's what it looks like. So the money comes in, about half of it goes to the players, half of it goes to the teams. So when, any NBA fans in here? Right, so over the past couple of summers, what have you seen in free agency? People making a lot of money, right? You look, wait a second, that guy's he's the sixth best player, or the fifth best player, or the seventh best player on the team, and he's making more than most athletes in other sports. How is that possible? the explosive growth of our game, especially around the world, means that more money is coming into the pot, and that's what determines the salary cap, because there's so much money coming in from TV around the world. That's what determines the salaries, and that's how these players make so much money. Now, that all being said, the top players are actually underpaid. And the reason I say that is because so much of this is a star-driven league, and so much of this is driven by guys like LeBron, Curry, James Harden. Now we're lucky to have one. We'll get to him in a minute. Hey, we're lucky. So we have one of those guys, and last year we paid him about $3 million. This year we're going to pay him $25 million, and he's worth every penny, because what he does for us is unmatched. The Houston Rockets, when we talk about the skyrocketing values of the teams, the Houston Rockets just got sold for about $2.3 billion. They should write a check to Yao Ming, because when they drafted him, almost 20 years ago, that made them one of the most popular teams in China, and that made their enterprise value rise in a big way. Oh, I can't show you that. I got the Knicks at the last second. So the Bucks, who were we? When Jamie, Mark, and Wes bought the team and empowered us to resurrect it and build this enterprise in Milwaukee, we were just the Bucks. And what I mean by that is we were tenants in the BMO Harris Bradley Center, and that was pretty much it. We operated as a team. Who are we now? Well, right now we're the Bucks. We're Deer District, and Deer District is the Arena Co. company. So you form a company that runs the arena, because in 2018, we're going to go from being tenants in the BMO Harris Bradley Center to operating a new building. All right, that means we're going to be, so we have to even change our brand. People know us as the Bucks. We're really a sports and entertainment company. We're responsible for concerts and Marquette basketball and family shows. So that's Deer District. Head of the Herd is the real estate arm. So we actually own all the land, which we're developing. And that's part of the experience, which we're going to talk about. Bucks Gaming is fascinating, probably for this room. Anybody hear about the NBA 2K league that we're launching? Nobody? Okay, good. Have you seen video game competitions where they're filling Staples Center and Madison Square Garden to watch things like League of Legends? Right? The League of Legends finals online drew more people, more viewership than the Super Bowl last year. So people are paying a lot of money, and sponsors are paying a lot of money to watch people play video games. And for the people that are laughing and shaking your head, I know what you mean. It's crazy. A few years ago, I remember my wife saying to me, "Do you notice something? When we go to a party now, there's always a kid on some sort of device, and he's playing it, or she's playing it, and there's a group of kids around watching them play that device, whatever that game is." Like, who would ever want to watch somebody play a video game? Go, well, guess what? When we open this arena, there's about 17,000 people who are going to pay us to watch video games. So the NBA is launching the NBA 2K League, which so 17 teams are in it, and we're one of them. So this really is going to sound crazy. We actually are hiring a manager, a coach. We're getting a house. We have all these people hired. There's a draft soon. So there's a guy called the Greek Geek that we have our eye on. We're excited about him. That's a real person. We're going to fly him here to Milwaukee. They're going to train in the house, and then they're going to fly to studios in either Los Angeles or Atlanta. So you'll see the Bucks E-League team competing against the Bulls, the Lakers, and the other teams. So we're excited about that one. And then the Bucks Foundation, we launched our own foundation last year. That's who we are now, and that's just happened in the last, call it 12 months. What are we going to become? This is where it really gets crazy. So all those other things we talked about, but then we're an entertainment company, right? So now we're responsible for booking the shows at the new arena. We're going to make a series of announcements starting soon. Summerfest does an unbelievable job, and we're going to be a complement to that to make Milwaukee a real music scene, Wisconsin a real music scene. I can guarantee you in an arena environment, this state has never seen the quality of shows that we're going to be announcing soon. We have Marquette basketball. Oh, everybody likes that one. You're going to be shocked. The current arena, promoters just can't they can't book a lot of their acts because, for a variety of reasons. Number one, the sightlines. They just can't get the ticket revenue that they need because of the sightlines. There's no club space. One of the biggest reasons that you'll think is pretty funny is the load in and load out is outdoors. So if you're Taylor Swift's road crew and you're putting together your touring dates and we're going to Milwaukee in February and the load in and load out is outdoors, you're like, we're not going. So we have 6 indoor loading bays in this, which makes a gigantic difference, things you wouldn't think about. So we're going to get these great shows. We're a media company. Obviously, we're very content-driven. Our content is our games and content that we create. But we are going into the final year of our local media deal with Fox Sports Wisconsin. And we're having very interesting conversations with them about how we redefine media. Anybody that's in our position, whether you have a long-term contract with your local RSN, Regional Sports Network, or if you're in our position, you have to redefine how you distribute your content. How many of you have cable? How many of you have never had cable? Right, so we have cord cutters and cord nevers, as we call them, right? And so we have to redefine how we distribute our games. So we are talking, knowing that we're in this position, there's every type of media company you can imagine coming at us and saying, we can help you redefine how you distribute content. It's not crazy to think that one day you'll be watching the Bucks exclusively on Netflix, Twitter, Facebook. We have to have those conversations and have to keep ahead of the game. So that's a media company. We're also a real estate company. We own 30 acres of development in downtown Milwaukee. And that's this ripple effect that we've always talked about for the last 3 years. We're going to, the centerpiece of what we're building is obviously the arena. We have other things around it, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And how does that affect what goes on in Milwaukee and create great experiences for people like you? Here's the downtown development. So let's take a look. Well, first, and we'll get to this first. So what makes the experience great before we get into the development? How many of you have been to a Bucks game in the last year? Great, right in front of me. So tell me about the game. Or tell me, not the game, but what'd you do?
There wasn't much food.
There wasn't much food you do. What did you do before the game?
I didn't like hanging downtown. There wasn't much either, so I just chilled at home.
There you go. Perfect. I'm not even going to have to ask a second person because he said there wasn't much to do. He just chilled at home before the game. And after the game, you got right out of there, right? Exactly. The BMO Harris Bradley Center is on an island, right? You get in there and you get out. What we're going to do is redefine this experience. And there's nothing like it really here in Wisconsin. So we're going to draw from all over. When I first arrived here from the East Coast, I always use Brookfield for the example for some reason. I don't know why. 20 minutes west of Milwaukee, and people and I and the other people that worked for the Bucks that moved and people that would come visit us, they would all say, "Oh my God, this is so great! You could leave 10 minutes before the game and get to the game and get in for tip-off. Like, why wouldn't everybody come to every game? This is so great." And then I realized the mentality is I have to drive 20 minutes in traffic in Milwaukee. There's no traffic in Milwaukee, right? There's no traffic, right? But I have to drive for 20 minutes. There's no way I'm going to go to a Bucks game. It's not that those barriers are real or that they really exist. It's that there's nothing to do. You have to give people things to do. If there were a gigantic Packer game, let's say they played on the Thursday night opener, right? Where are you going to go downtown? Is there an obvious place that you would gather downtown to watch that game or a World Cup match, if the United States was in it? Right? I don't know. What are you going to do? So there isn't really. We are going to create experiences and gathering places and change consumer behavior, right? That person who 3 years ago said, "I'm not driving from Brooklyn, it's traffic and parking." Nonsense. We're going to change behavior. People are going to die to come downtown because we're going to give them things to do. And the experience is so much more than the game, right? We mentioned there's nothing to do. There's nothing to eat, nothing to drink. You're going to come early. You're going to stay late. It's going to be well lit. It's going to be safe. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be for every type of user. When we talk about this experience, it's easy for Bucks games. When we build this, it'll be no problem. Bucks games, Marquette games, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, easy. what we're doing, and I'm going to show you in a minute, is how do you get people down here on a Tuesday afternoon in July when nothing's going on? I'm going to show you. Create density. So if anybody's familiar with what they called the Park East, this was 30 acres in a downtown part of a major city with nothing there. Right? How does that happen? Right? Downtown in a major U.S. city with nothing there. So our owners said, well, we're going to change that. So we did the deal to get this plot of land. And again, the model is a mixed-use development around a sports facility. We didn't invent that at all. We can go on and on. We studied every one of them. LA Live, Ballpark Village in St. Louis. They've done it in Columbus, Baltimore, Toronto. The rarity here, again, has been done before, but where it's rare is usually when you develop these developments, you put in an area of a city where you're trying to drive people to. Nobody goes to this area. Let's drive them there. This one's right downtown. So this is going to serve as not only a magnet, but what we call the ripple effect. We talked about it for 3 years. We said the second this thing happens, it's going to spark development around the whole city, and that's happened. Right? People, and the land wasn't even available by the time we announced our project. This guy, I'm going to wake him up. Hey. Hey, come on. You might learn something. Just on the speculation that we were going to get this done, people bought all the land, and that's caused this ripple effect. There's now billions of, our development is $1 billion that we're putting into the city. The area around us is billions and billions of dollars, and we're going to connect all the neighborhoods. It's going to make Milwaukee a much better place. 2 years ago, I felt like a politician. I called the CEO of every company in Wisconsin and said, we need your help to write letters to the state senate. And every one of them, whether they were a sponsor or a partner of ours or not, they did it. And the reason is, when I'm out in the state, or anywhere in the state, and I say to a CEO, what's your number one challenge? Number one challenge. I get the same answer every single time. Can anybody imagine what that is? And you guys have to do with this. This is related to you. Recruiting and retention. Got to be able to recruit people like you to Wisconsin and to Milwaukee, and I got to be able to keep them here. Well, how do you do that? There needs to be things to do. You need places to live. You need to have fun. If you take this out, and it wasn't the intention of our owners, but the particulars of the deal were, if we didn't get this done, the NBA had the right to buy back the team, put them on the open market, and then somebody else would have bought them and moved them to Las Vegas or Seattle or something, right? And then Milwaukee is not a major league city. The BMO Harris Bradley Center was $100 million in debt. So the Bucks go away. You can imagine it's it can't operate. You lose your NBA tenant. Marquette's in trouble. It's in debt. There's no way any of this happens, right? So it's so much more than basketball. That's the start of basketball, but it creates this effect where you build a city, and now with what's happening, you guys, sure, I might stay here. More jobs, better economy, things to do, places to live, right? So this is the Park East. Block 1 is the arena. To the northwest of that pork chop looking thing, that's our new Freighter and Medical College of Wisconsin Sports Science Center, the best training center in the NBA, hands down. It's incredible. Attached to that is the McKinley Health Center, also in partnership with Freighter and the Medical College. That's a 36,000 square foot medical office building open to the public. Freighter's putting their doctors in there, and that opens in the next few months. Why are things like that critical? There's no health services downtown. Again, if you're going to live downtown, you've got to have places to go if you're sick. Well, that's going to be it. Block 7, parking garage with a sky bridge into the arena. Block 4 is the entertainment district, which we'll get to in a second. Blocks 5, 6, 2, and 3. So 2 and 3 are where the current arena is. Those 4 blocks are for development. We're trying to figure out what the exact use is, but we know things we need. The critical thing we need, probably on block 5 or 6, is we need an office tower to put about 1,500 to 2,000 workers in there. Again, why is that important? Go back to my comment. On a Tuesday afternoon, if there's no Bucks game, nothing going on, you need density. Like we can't build all this and then people go away when there's no event. But if you have housing and you have places to work, people can walk to work, bike to work, drive to work, then it's active all the time. So that's the model. So that's to the east of the arena. This is, if you were in the arena, looking east. Right? So now, go back to your game when you had nothing to do and you chilled at home. Right? Now you're not going to be doing that. You're going to come here. Right? And it's all different user groups as we talk about it. When I say different user groups, it can't be a place where you go just get drunk before a game or after a game. Right? It's got to be families, kids, people on a date, office workers having lunch. It's got to be every type of user group. So we do all these different studies and we know every single type of person that could possibly come down here and how do we service them and how do we create experiences. So the only thing that exists is actually that white building, which is a building called the Modern, which is an apartment building. In back of it, yes, a lot of basketball players live there. In back of it is Old World 3rd Street, if anybody's been down to Milwaukee, series of restaurants and bars. What we didn't want to do was create a wall where it seems like we create our own little Bucks land and everything outside of it is cut off. We've worked with everybody around it to make sure it's one cohesive, seamless experience. So this, what you see here on the bottom of the screen, is an open plaza where you can have, first of all, it's zoned so that we can have up to a 12,000 person outdoor concert. We can have farmers markets, food festivals, beer festivals, you name it. We're projecting about 180 events out there, ice skating rinks. So now you can see where we're going with this. It starts coming down. This is also designed so that it could potentially house the streetcar, so it could drop you right in front of the arena. And then we're currently in discussions with a number of people on what those businesses are. One thing that we know is that walkway in between connecting the plaza to 3rd Street will be a semi-indoor, semi-covered beer garden. So as you walk from 3rd Street onto the plaza through the building, you can stop on your way into the beer garden. When I say semi-covered, it's got a roof and it's got garage doors that can open up on and close on each end. This is another view from a different angle. And these aren't exact, but again, mix of restaurants, bars, other things to do. We just signed a lease, which we haven't announced yet, with I would call it an adult Dave & Buster's. That would be the best way to describe it. So that'll be fun. On the blocks where the current BMO Harris Bradley Center is, also we are looking at putting a hotel. We need more hotel space in Milwaukee, and we think that would be a good place for it. Many reasons that we need it. One of them is we don't qualify with enough hotel space in the city to get an NBA All-Star game, and that's something we definitely want to do within the first 5 years. Here's the beer garden. So now let's talk about the arena. Now we're getting into experiential. So the other thing you'll notice, we'll go away from you. Who went to a Bucks game last year? Okay, right here. When you go to the bathroom or you go get a drink or something, what do you notice about this place, about the current arena? Can you hear the game?
You can hear the noise.
Not really, I mean, maybe a little. Kind of. Maybe you must have good hearing. Can you see the game? You definitely can't see the game, right? Do you feel connected to the experience at all? Right. Right. The experience that we're building starts with how we design physical space. So just look at it. So that's the east side of the arena that if you were looking out those windows, you'd be looking out onto the live block that I described. All glass. The sides, glass. Right? There's escalators that go up throughout the building. So even when you're walking through the beer garden, or if you're in those venues and you're in the plaza, you can already feel what's going on inside, whether it's a concert, Bucks game, because you can see people. There's transparency. Right? When you're walking up on the concourse, you can see outside, natural sunlight. It helps you feel connected. Up there, where that green space is an outdoor patio That's what for now is called the Panorama Club. I better get the name of a company on it or you're not going to be seeing me too long. That's an outdoor patio that's going to be a great club during events and then a private event space later. And again, it's connected. It has great views of the city, so you're connected to the outside. Once you get inside on the main concourse, I would say the signature feature of this building is the transparency in the bowls. So we just said, if you go out to get a hot dog or a soda, you're disconnected. We call the BMO Harris Bradley Center is kind of like a coffin, right? You're in there and you're disconnected. Here, not only when you get your drink can you see outside, not from this angle, but I'll show you, you can see into the bowl. Right? So imagine going up to get your drink, and you can stand with your friend, you can see outside, you can look into the bowl, you can hear the game, you can see the game, you can feel the game. That's a completely different experience that really hasn't been done in an arena environment. Those of you who have been to Miller Park, you have a lot of that. They do that. They've done that really well. In an arena environment, it really hasn't been done before. Typically, the concourses are cut off by the concession stands, so that doesn't happen. We pushed them out into the concourse, so now you could stand there for 20 minutes and have your hot dog and drink your beer and see and feel the game. Totally different experience. Another big difference is the premium spaces. So this is the event level club, which is, we just announced, is the BMO Harris Club. And we are going to redefine what premium hospitality is at in an arena environment here in Wisconsin. It's top of the line food, beverage, right off the court. You see the players coming by and high-fiving you, but it's going to be a real experience. There's three actually major clubs in the arena, so there'll be a club experience for everyone. Now, the key thing about this, when we look at the bowl, is, as I said, here's how the building is designed. There's 10,000 seats downstairs. There's 6,000 upstairs. There's 1,500 on the premium level, so 17,500 people, which is actually smaller than the BMO Harris Bradley Center. In the current building, that's flipped. There's 10,000 seats upstairs, 6,000 downstairs. Why is that? Well, the current building was designed for hockey. They were trying to attract the hockey team. That obviously didn't happen. This building is built for basketball. We can play hockey, and we will play hockey. Obviously, we can have concerts and other events. We can have ice shows, so we do have ice. But this building is built for basketball. So when you do that, when you cut out all that extra room in the corners, it's like you're sucking the whole thing in. So the sight lines in this building are incredible. I go in there probably twice a week, and it's to the point now where you can really get a sense. I'll go sit in the last row. You are on top of the court. I had a client, big client. We gave him a tour last week, and he said he has a bunch of seats down low. And he said, "I want to downgrade. It'll be cheaper. I want to get worse seats because you're so close." At the Bradley Center, the bowl goes out. You have all these people upstairs, and it goes out. This goes up. I mean, you are looking down at the court. There is not a bad seat in this place. That's the vision. And again, we want to redefine experiences. And when I tell you that we have to service a lot of user groups and make something for everyone, we spend so much time thinking about you guys for the many reasons that I described. It's so important for job growth, to recruit and retain workers. And for us, just from a Bucks perspective, we have what we call the lost generation. So I can't tell you how many times I heard when I first got here, yeah, I used to be into the Bucks, or my company used to have tickets. Yeah, we just lost interest. And that was for a 10-year period of, yes, not playing well on the court, that's a big part of it, but we weren't creating experiences. The experience was not, we weren't out in the community, we weren't marketing to our best, and I'm sure, as you've seen, if you've been here, the Bucks are much more present, right? There's much more to it than winning and losing, because then if you just depend on that, you're dead when you lose. You sell hope, you sell experience, and today is all about experiential marketing, and that's what we're selling. If you come to a game, a Bucks game, and you don't create an experience, and you lose, then it's a problem. If you have kids, kids can be happy if they come to a game, win or lose. Now, we can't be terrible. Our number one goal is to win the championship, without question, but we have to create great experiences, and we think about you guys all the time, because you guys are the future season ticket holders. One day you'll have kids, and you'll want to bring them, and we have to refill the pipeline. We started getting people back. Again, those people my age that they fell out of love with the Bucks, but we've seen our biggest growth area in people your age, the people that, for lack of a better term, didn't know any better because they were so young. Right now, it's like, yeah, of course I like the Bucks. Giannis, Jabari, they market to me, they talk to me. So you're important to us. A little about you guys from a professional basis. I liked what Krista had to say from GMR. And is my man Trevor in here? Did he leave? So I was working with, he left? With Trevor, who Tessa put me in contact with. I met him today, and he brought me around. We had a great conversation when we were eating breakfast about the importance of, and I didn't even say what I was going to talk about, and he just started talking about the importance of personal connections and how much he likes to be around people, and in his career path, he wants to be around people. And I can't stress enough, A, how refreshing it was to hear that from somebody who's 21 and just embarking on his career, but B, to hear that from him as he looks into the future. It's so important for you guys. Believe me, I love technology. I rely on it every day, like we all do. And I can get lost in my phone. There is nothing that will replace a personal connection. Whether it's in business, in your relationships, it's critical to remember that. And that's why we're here. That's what we're talking about today. All the presenters. The more technology we have, the more valuable experiences are. And the more marketers want it, right? So as you go into the workforce, don't be this person. Sometimes this one drives me crazy. Two people, you're at this desk, you're at this desk, and they're getting into a fight on email or texting. Like, just get up and talk to the person. Like, well, what are you doing? Shouldn't be no more than 3 emails. Just get up and talk to them. And I'll say, what's the problem? One thing, Krista, I like the stat that you put on the board because I talk about it all the time. 90% of communication, 90% is nonverbal. So I'll get this. Well, Matt, and then I said, blah, 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 and then he said, like, I'm like, whoa. Like, you're just described an email conversation, but you injected tone into it. I was talking about all flowers and ice cream and puppy dogs, and he was talking about what a jerk I am. No, you can't do that. You don't have that right. If you're going to do that, you better get up and talk to them because you can't make an assumption on tone. 90%. And so as you're in the business world, we all do it. Twitter, Facebook, it's great. But don't use it as a crutch. It will, especially more people your age are doing it. So if you can have the view that Trevor had today, it will go a long way. I definitely as I said, I like to leave a lot of time for questions, and we only have a few minutes. So please ask me anything you want. Happy to answer it. Yes. I'll repeat your question, or you could do that.
I'm coming. So it seems that you're extremely ambitious in this like remodeling and situations, but I can see one huge threat is if you did all of these things and you didn't get the effect that you wanted to. What situations are you aware that could contribute to that? The potential of no one actually showing up, and what are you doing to counteract those as you might see it?
Well, I liked how you started it because when we are ambitious, our owners are ambitious, Peter, myself, we're all ambitious. And when we first laid this out, you can imagine, you know, a bunch of people come from the outside, not from here. You should hear some of the meetings that we were at. We would go meet with, when we got here, we met with the CEO and CMO of every company and said, hey, I know you haven't been a partner with the Bucks, or maybe you went away from the Bucks. We'd love you back as a season ticket holder, suite holder, whatever it was. We want your relationship back. And we understand we have to build your trust. Here's what we're going to do. And we laid out this plan. Some people were like, you guys are out of your minds. There's no way that'll ever happen. And we, maybe because we're ambitious, or maybe because we just didn't know better, we're like, oh no, we're going to get this done. It got easier once it started happening. Like once it started happening, it got easier. I think, listen, you always want to be aware of your risks, right? Once people started seeing what was happening, and it started physically being built, and they saw the effects, and they saw the most important thing was we did everything that we kept our promises, right? So now, is there a risk that people won't come? Sure. That's based on execution, us making the wrong decisions about programming or how we build it. But if we follow the plan, and it's been pretty good so far, we're pretty confident that'll work. And by the way, if something doesn't work, we change it. That's one thing. We're not stubborn. We don't say, well, this is the way we're going to do it, and that's right. If we make a mistake, we fix it. But good question. Yes? So what was the strategy in the Bucks changing the logo and the color scheme? Well, first of all, we knew we needed a refresh. The old one just wasn't working. When we got to town, it was hard to find Buck stuff, right? So we needed not only a refresh that would excite people and resonate with people like you, but we needed a merchandising strategy, a retail strategy. Our owners were shocked that everywhere you went, you could see Bucks, Badgers, Brewers. I'm sorry, Packers, Badgers, Brewers, no Bucks anywhere. Airport, it doesn't matter where. Kohl's. We're like, well, first of all, you have to have an attractive brand. You have to build your brand, and you have to maybe, I don't know, do things like have licensees that make clothes that women will like. I mean, literally, if you walk into a store and has these big boxy T-shirts, you're probably not wearing it, right? You want something that actually designed for a woman or kids. So part of it was making a brand that would resonate with people and licensees. But the backstory on it is, it's pretty funny. So every time owners buy a team, they want to change the logo and the uniform. Every time. In this case, obviously, it was needed. So when you talk about ambitious, the owners go to the league and they say, all right, they closed in the summer of 2014. They said, we want to do it for next year. The NBA said, are you crazy? This is a 2.5 year process. You have to work with Adidas. It's just a long process, and you have to liquidate all the inventory. And they said, nobody's buying Buck stuff. There's nothing to liquidate. So we'll take care of that problem. So they said, all right, since you won't take no for an answer, if you can have everything approved, and this is in June of 2014, if you can have everything approved by September 1st, you can do it. You'll never do it. Nobody's ever done it that fast. So, okay. Alex Lazary, who works for the team, and Mark is his dad, he's our VP of strategy, called a friend, and I'm sure you guys have gotten this call a million times. Hey, whoever the guy's name is, it was his friend in Brooklyn at a creative agency, said, hey, my dad just bought an NBA team, and we need to refresh the brand, and we need to do it in like 8 weeks. What do you think? You've gotten that call, right? Yeah, okay, right. So the guy says, you're never going to believe this. We have a guy, this is in Brooklyn, New York. We have a guy in our office, the biggest Bucks fan you'll ever meet. He knows everything about the Bucks, the history, everything. This is his dream assignment. Like literally this is what he lives for. He's always wished to do this. So we hired the agency. They cut out all their projects, and this guy just worked 24/7 on building a new brand, obviously in conjunction with us and our CMO, Dustin Godsey, who's very good at what he does, the league, Adidas, the licensees, and we got it done by September 1st. Now, clearly in year one, and I think we did a pretty good job, like now people wear stuff. Now there's stuff available, you can buy it, and it looks good. I wear it all the time. Year one, we quadrupled our retail sales, which is crazy, but in year one, that usually happens. Year two, so if you double your retail sales, that's a big deal, even with a brand relaunch. We quadrupled it. So then we said last year, well, obviously we're gonna fall off. We can never do that again. We did it again. We actually increased. So we're on a roll as far as licensed merchandise. It definitely helps to have number 34. He helps. He was the number 9th most sold jersey in the league last year, and because he's global, you know, his jerseys sell around the world.
When's the launch? Like when's the stadium going to be ready? And how are you guys focusing on building anticipation to just make sure that the word's out and that you're getting the fans excited and stuff?
Another great question and good timing. So we made a minor announcement yesterday. We announced the first event. It won't be the first event. It was the first event we announced. So we announced Jim Gaffigan, a comedian that's going to play in the fall of 2018. I've been telling people, I did this at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, I've been telling people, I know you're getting ready for the season, which starts next week, and you think that the building's opening in August. It should be completed in July, the construction managers promise. We anticipate the first event to be around Labor Day. But I say, you know, you think the building's opening next year. I'll tell you when the building opens. The first time, as soon as we announce our first major concert, it's open, right? And that's going to happen within the next few weeks. As soon as that happens, the building's open. But we anticipate it being ready in July and opening towards the end of next summer. And we'll open it with a series of major concerts.
So are you guys kind of like preparing for, because I know NBA just went to Nike this year,
Yeah.
and how are you guys kind of like taking that lead brand of the Nike and NBA for the Milwaukee Bucks this year?
Well, for us, if you notice, you know, Nike they do a great job, and if you notice, there's some technology in the jerseys now, and a lot of the teams have different looking jerseys. Certainly the style and the material is different. For us, they didn't change that much because we had just launched a new brand. So there's 4 jerseys, and starting this year, there's no more home and away. The home team can pick whatever color they want. So we have our white jersey with the Bucks. We have our green jersey that says Milwaukee. We announced the black one. And then there's another one coming, which is the localized one. That one's new, so we haven't announced that yet. So the strategy was to really stick with the plan because we like our brand.
I heard from somewhere that they're doing like advertisement patches on jerseys now?
They are. So for the first year, for the first time ever, and that was one of my big projects, for the first time ever, the question was about the advertising on the jerseys. Teams can have a 2x2 inch patch on their jerseys, which is a big deal. This was debated for years. This was started being talked about 6 years ago. It's never been done in major North American sports, right? It's done in soccer overseas. It's done in soccer here, but in the 4 big major sports, it hasn't been done. And the NBA didn't take it lightly and approved it. What does that do for us? So there's marketing territories. Like I can't have a BMO Harris activation in California. We have a marketing territory. The NBA markets the game globally. For us as a sales group to have a piece of inventory that could be attractive to anybody in the world was unbelievable. So as soon as it got approved and we knew it was coming clearly, we sat down and we put together our strategy and we said, this definitely does not have to be a Wisconsin company because it's going to be seen on those, I talked about those 220 countries that we're on. Now you have something that's going to be seen around the world. So we got to start looking in India, China. Now we hit the perfect storm. Do you see who's on ours? We have Harley Davidson. So it's like, are you kidding me? We have the best one in the league. I mean, come on, right? We said to have a global brand headquartered in Milwaukee like that, But not only that, we have the only jersey patch that people tattoo on their bodies, right? So we actually, we don't think, we know it's happened already. The second we announced it, Harley and ourselves got inquiries from all around the world. I don't even know what a basketball is, but I want to buy that jersey. I don't know who the Bucks are, but I want to buy that jersey. That's a winner for us, right? Talk about cultivating a global fan base with our partner. I mean, you see some of the other partners, you're probably not happening. I'm not going to name them, but they're probably not happening. But ours, unbelievable. So we were thrilled with that.
All right, last one.
I told you we could do this all day. I mean, we could go. Oh, I love it. I love it. I mean, I moved my family here to do it. My wife, 3 kids. It was a quick decision. We made the decision about less than 12 hours, and 8 of them were spent sleeping. You know, you don't get an opportunity like this, and I think this is something that can resonate with you guys. So just to give you the career timeline, I spent 8 years with the Knicks. Like I said, I got to know Peter very well, and I knew Mark Lazary. Then I moved to the Nets and helped them with the transition to Brooklyn. I was out of the NBA for a number of years. When Peter and I were with the Knicks, you know, there's some challenges at the Knicks. You might know about them. It can be challenging. We said, boy, can you imagine, and we're like, we didn't ever think this would really happen. Can you imagine if we had the chance to like really do it the right, like a clean slate, to really do it the right way? Like, do we really think that would happen? Meanwhile, that's probably 10 years ago. Then Mark says, hey, I'm going to buy the Bucks. And really gives us, you know, Mark, Wes, and Jamie have jobs. They have day jobs, right? It's not, you know, so they really empower us to do this. So the opportunity if I were just coming here to work for a team that existed already and wasn't so ambitious, like that would be one thing. But the opportunity to move here and have this blank slate to resurrect this great franchise with this great history and build all the stuff we talked about and affect change socially and economically in the state, that's something that you run to, right? So we never thought that we moved from the New York tri-state area, and you know, when you have an opportunity of a lifetime, you jump at it.
All right, let's give it up for Matt.